You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we're going to recap day number 13 of San Francisco 49ers training camp. And after a rather productive week one of the NFL preseason against the Denver Broncos, they're back at practice today, and unfortunately did not bring a lot of good news for the red and gold. A lot of injury updates heading our way. The receiver room is decimated, and they may have to go find their way back on the free agent market to fill that room for their joint practices later this week. And we have some surprising players getting some first-team reps following preseason week one. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And let's dive into day number 13 of San Francisco 49ers training camp. And let's kick things off with the plethora of roster moves the team made before practice began, starting off with the signings of Jeff Wilson Jr. That's right, the return of Jeff Wilson Jr., the running back in San Francisco. He was in San Francisco for a while. In fact, I just watched this team's 2019 fourth quarter comebacks. I'll tell you what, he was a big part of a lot of those, but after a short stint in Miami, who was traded there after the Christian McCaffrey acquisition, he is now back in San Francisco. Looks lighter, looks healthier, and with a team that, again, has no Isaac Guerendo, no Jordan James, and now no Ameer Abdullah, they need some fresh bodies in that room. So they signed Jeff Wilson Jr. They also signed edge rusher and defensive lineman Trevis Gipson. He got first-team reps today with the defense. So some fresh bodies hitting San Francisco's roster on training camp day 13. The Niners also waived third-string, or I guess fourth-string quarterback Tanner Mordecai. He was waived earlier last week. He was brought back later last week for the preseason game against the Broncos, but unfortunately has found himself being cut after a rather abysmal performance against the Denver Broncos. We'll get into the quarterback room later in a second, but wouldn't be shocked to see him brought back after how bad today was for the rest of the room. Then there is Ameer Abdullah, who was placed on injured reserve. He hurt his ribs in the preseason game against the Broncos, and he is now going to be on season-ending IR, so a bummer for him. Unfortunately for San Francisco, a guy that was getting kick return reps, punt return reps, and was going to be part of the rotation, at least leading into preseason game number 2, while Jordan James and Guerendo are on the shelf, but he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get cut with an injury designation, so there is a way for both those parties to kind of, I guess you can say, depart each other in a amicable way, giving Abdullah a chance to go sign elsewhere, and San Francisco a free injured reserve spot on the roster. The last roster move they made was activating offensive tackle Andre Dillard from the PUP list. He has not practiced a single day since being signed during the OTA rookie minicamp sessions of the offseason. He's finally back, and funny enough, he took some left tackle reps behind and with Spencer Burford and the third team today. So surprised he wasn't playing right tackle. I assumed he'd be behind Austin Pleasance, but maybe some good news for Austin Pleasance. Didn't have the worst game. Didn't have the best game either against the Broncos this past Saturday, but a fairly good showing enough through training camp and week one of the preseason to maybe solidify himself a spot on the opening day roster for the San Francisco 49ers. That said, we had a handful of guys return from practice. The aforementioned Andre Dillard, also Evan Anderson returned to practice today, the defensive tackle. Jair Brown, who we'll get into Jair Brown more in a second, but a surprising development with him and his placement on the defense going forward. And then, of course, linebacker Chazz Surratt, he returned today at practice. But besides all those notes, the main takeaway from today's practice was very much the injuries. In fact, while there is things to discuss in what happened during the actual practice session, the brunt or the bulk of today's show will be injury talk because there are so many guys on the shelf. There are some concerns that San Francisco may not be able to have joint practices with the Raiders on Thursday, but they're trying to find room for guys to hopefully be added and released from the roster to make their way on Thursday's practice with Las Vegas. But they had 15 total players absent. That's not including the guys on the NFI list, IR, and the PUP list. So right now they have 24 players not on the active practice field. That includes guys like Brandon Aiyuk, Malik Mustafa. Today, it included Jordan James, Jacob Cowing, Jauan Jennings, Sam Okawanu, Richie Grant, Fabian Moreau, Robert Beal Jr., Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott, and cornerback Trey Brown, amongst many, many others. And it's becoming very obvious San Francisco just needs to find some health. Wealth is health, or health is wealth, how do you want to put it? San Francisco really needs some help right now in their room, especially at receiver. But we did get some good news, but it came very sparingly amongst the negative news today because Isaac Guerendo, who was maybe going to come back this week against the Raiders, he needs maybe a few more weeks and might put his week 1 in jeopardy against the Seattle Seahawks, but he will miss, if not this week and next week, maybe 3 weeks until he can come back with a shoulder injury. Renardo Green, who had a evaluation yesterday on Sunday, he didn't test well enough to be activated, so he will miss an entire week of action this week, hoping to be back for the preseason finale against the Los Angeles Chargers. Then Yetur Gross-Matos, who Shanahan thought could come back last week and maybe this week, he will miss the entirety of this week too, meaning San Francisco continues to miss on their defensive linemen, which Gross-Matos isn't the biggest name or the biggest player, but a guy whose job really isn't safe in that room. But this team, without Mike Williams, without Kevin Givens, without now Yetur Gross-Matos, albeit again, not bigger names, not the big stars, if you will, but the depth of the defensive line is being tested right now, already in preseason, so hope he can get back healthy. The good news of today's practice was Jacob Cowing. Although he didn't practice himself, he is supposed to be back tomorrow, that being Tuesday, leading into a walkthrough on Wednesday. So Jacob Cowing is back for San Francisco starting on Tuesday. Haven't seen him since, I think, the first day of training camp, so we'll finally get our first eyes on Cowing this offseason. He's bigger, he's bulkier, hope he can stay healthy as things progress. And Upton Stout, cornerback out of Western Kentucky, he seemingly has earned the nickelback starting job, but didn't play in the preseason opener because of a calf injury. He is supposed to be back on Thursday, his first day back being the joint practice with the Las Vegas Raiders. Shanahan may activate him or bring him back on Wednesday for the walkthrough, get his feet wet, go through a workout, then he should be activated fully, or at least ease back into practice on Thursday against Las Vegas. So 2 kind of bits of good news getting Cowing and Stout back. However, the big kind of gut punch coming out of the first preseason game is Jordan Watkins, a guy who kind of had a mixed bag of results, a big 50-yard catch, a couple of end-arounds, then maybe had some timing off with his routes, doesn't have the expanded route tree just yet, which Shanahan values a lot, which may have cost him or the team an interception in the first half of the game. We thought we all left healthy. There wasn't many guys that were hurt. Sigle got hurt, came back. Bethune got hurt, came back. Nobody seemed to be injured that much on game day outside of Ameer Abdullah, but According to Kyle Shanahan, Jordan Watkins suffered a high ankle sprain against the Broncos on Saturday and will miss about a month of time, essentially taking away the next 2 weeks of preseason action, the remainder of his training camp, and does put his week 1 status in jeopardy. That freaking sucks if you are the rookie who has looked pretty good through training camp thus far, probably the second most standout wide receiver in that room outside of Ricky Pearsall, to know that Jennings is already hurt, Cowing, who is coming back, was injured, and then you have Aiyuk out, and Demarcus Robinson, who, according to Kyle Shanahan, is under he's appealing his suspension with the league, so he doesn't want to miss 3 games to begin the year. If you're missing Aiyuk and you're missing Robinson and say Jauan's injury lingers, Jordan Watkins was in line to be at least a player in the weeks 1 through 3 action for San Francisco. Now that's up in the air. And for a guy that's young, really wasn't supposed to play much in his first season, that was a very pivotal time for him to maybe prove himself, earn some more reps once guys come back, and maybe just find himself a spot in the offensive rotation. Now that's gone. We went from Watkins maybe being a surprise talent or maybe a vital role player for San Francisco this year now to being probably a wash for his entire season, barring injury, which I hate saying that, but knowing how particular Kyle is with wide receivers, knowing how Kyle just simply doesn't like playing younger players for a variety of viable reasons, this kind of does feel like it's a big, doom for Jordan Watkins finding playing time in his first year outside of, punt returns and kick returns if he actually wins that job, because Cowing can do that. And Junior Burgeon showed off pretty well during the preseason opener. So a really bad sign for San Francisco. It may push them out to the free agent market again to find somebody else, sign somebody else. But they've signed Equanimeous St. Brown. He's on IR. They signed Annie Isabella. He got hurt again. They had signed Quintus Cephas and then released him. They've had this receiver musical chairs where we've talked about how important these early days are to find chemistry with Brock Purdy in the offense. These guys can't stay healthy. The only person that's healthy out there every single day has been Ricky Pearsall, basically, once pads have come on, and then Russell Gage and Demarcus Robinson, but he may miss the first 3 games of the season. So San Francisco, while you do like the talent of the room as a whole, while you value the skill sets of the guys you expect to be healthy and out there, they have to find some consistency, because I don't know about you, I don't want to play Isaiah Hodgins. I don't want to have to rely on Junior Burgeon as a wide receiver on week 1 against the Seahawks in Seattle, I might add. I don't really want to go out there and play Tariq Owens and company. I'd like to have Jordan Watkins and Demarcus Robinson and Jauan Jennings and Pearsall. And if Jauan comes back, obviously it eases the pain of the injuries in the room. But for all the questions of the offensive line and the new defense and all those things, receiver was already a big question mark. Not because of the talent in the room, but who's going to step up? Unfortunately, if you're not healthy, nobody can step up. So not great for San Francisco by any means, and a big gut punch for Jordan Watkins. It sucks to watch a young player show some signs of growth early, then just, I don't even know when he got hurt. Was it the fourth quarter end around? Was it the 50-yard run play? I don't know. He said he didn't feel the pain till this morning, so clearly it could have happened early in the game or late, but we have no idea. But he's not going to be healthy for the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks at a time. So that's a big bummer for Watkins and may end up ruining his rookie season, because Shanahan's doghouse does not mind injury. So a bummer for him, and unfortunately a big bummer for the team itself. I want to get to the YouTube chat for a second, because we have many comments here. Niners Throwback says, hit that like and subscribe, faithful. Yes, yes, yes. Strawberry Reacts says, Cowing coming back tomorrow. Watkins tagged out with injury today. Or he's kind of using the wrestling term, being a tag team. Hey, I'm in, you're out. And that's true. Like, you can just simply say Watkins and Cowing flip spots, which doesn't make it easier to digest or anything, but we do get to see another unproven receiver maybe make some hay in the next few weeks or so. I would rather have Watkins and Cowing healthy, but sometimes the world isn't too kind to the San Francisco 49ers. Niners Throwback also says here, let's go get Gabe Davis. I will mention some free agent receivers in a second that may fit San Francisco's scheme and play style, so stay tuned for that. And yes, Gabe Davis is among them. Joseph Ehrenberg says, we don't need any more receivers. People are so annoying. I don't think it's the need for a wide receiver because, again, we talked plenty of times. The room is technically stacked of players you expect to make the roster, right? Like Aiyuk and Jennings and Robinson and Cowing and Pearsall and Watkins. Like, there's so many other, there are like 6 or 7 guys you expect to be out there if they're healthy, right? But the thing is, it really isn't about finding able bodies to make it through or play games in the regular season. It's about being healthy enough to make it through training camp in the preseason, right? While you can say like Tariq Owens need reps and Isaiah Hodgins and other guys need reps, I wouldn't disagree with you there, but I think it's about just simply trying to find guys that can get you through the preseason games and training camp because it's looking pretty bleak, and there's no promise Cowing can stay healthy. There's no promise Jauan Jennings can stay healthy throughout the entire year. So there's a lot of concerns right now, and those can be kind of pushed aside if guys get healthy and come back. Like if Jauan gets healthy, if Robinson wins the appeal process, if Watkins gets healthier before week 1, we can kind of ease our mind there. But with so many things happening and so many guys already hurt, 24 in total already, and the receiver room has already so many guys on the sideline, it does make you question how strong that room may be because, again, you don't want to toss out there Tariq Owens and Isaiah Hodgins week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. Want to say what's up to Papa J. Hope you're having a good one, brother. And then Big Brick 84, how you doing? Right back at you. Strawberry React says here, I'm actually not freaking out about the injuries for whatever reason. Annoying, yes, but knock on wood, nothing serious. That is the one thing I've kind of kept saying throughout the entire training camp practices is that really besides the Kevin Givens ones, like no one's torn anything, no one's broken anything so far, at least that we know. So nothing too serious, which is good. Like you're seeing guys across the league after the first week of preseason go down with torn meniscuses and broken legs and torn ACLs, and it's like, thank God that isn't San Francisco. But unfortunately, we kind of already had those things happen before the season started with Aiyuk and Mustafa and guys like that. So we're just trying to get healthy. That's all. We're trying to buy some time to kind of get our footing under us before the season begins in September. But let's keep moving on in my notes because despite those negative injury reports, we did get some news of Upton Stout, Isaac Guerendo, and most importantly here, Jauan Jennings all doing some workouts on the side field. Now, Guerendo, again, not supposed to be back for a couple of weeks, but good news, he's out there doing some work, being healthy, being active. Stout's back on Thursday, at least that's what's supposed to happen. But then Jauan Jennings, a guy that people have certainly had their opinion on. Is it a contract thing? Is it an injury thing? Maybe it's both. I'm not too sure, although I lean it to being an injury thing with him. It sounds like he's probably a week or two away still. San Francisco clearly taking things very slow with him, as they should. But good to see him out there. I think this is like the second time he's been out there doing some light work. But he walked into the training room today after doing some, I guess, had a very small appearance, then went to the training room, probably to get some work done there. But a good sign nonetheless from him. We need him healthy. Pearsall, Jennings, and Cowing isn't too bad. Pearsall, Jennings, Robinson, Cowing isn't too bad. But good signs for those 3 guys on the field. That said, let's talk about the wide receiver room as a whole, because I've already mentioned Aiyuk's injured, Jauan's injured, has the contract stuff, Watkins has the ankle injury, and Robinson probably going to be suspended. I think Cowing, although will be back, still has some lingering injury history. That leaves currently healthy on the roster as of right now, Monday at 7:30 at night, Ricky Pearsall, Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen, Junior Burgeon, Tariq Owens, and Isaiah Hodgins, with Demarcus Robinson floating in the ether of we don't know what's going to happen to you in the next week or so with your DUI stuff. So 7 guys are actually healthy and can play for them during practice and preseason. My assumption is starters are going to play somewhat this week. If not this week, because joint practices are happening, they are definitely going to play week 3 against the Chargers. But with that said, you're not going to play Pearsall against the Raiders. You're going to play him with Purdy and the guys against the Chargers, if that is indeed the plan for them, leaving just 6 guys out there. You got to find somebody to at least be a 7th or 8th receiver for you, because Gage is kind of eyeing a roster spot and may be a day one starter with the guys off the or on the shelf. You don't really love Robbie Chosen. You like Junior Burgeon, will probably make the roster for a lot of reasons, but Tariq Owens and Isaiah Hodgins are guys you don't want to rely on and probably practice squad elevation players, but that has led many fans out there saying, go sign a free agent. And I have 4 targets on here, and I want to talk about 2 of them in particular, because I think 2 of them may be ones fans would like the team to sign, but don't really make sense from a roster construction standpoint. And 2 guys I think maybe more apt to sign with San Francisco. The first one being Amari Cooper. I don't think San Francisco wants to sign Amari Cooper. I know they have $45 million in cap space. He doesn't block. He wasn't great last season. Although he may be a receiving fit for the team, again, like other players, where does he fit once guys get back? Is Amari Cooper, of all people, going to want to come here and by week 6 be behind 5 other guys? No, it's not going to happen. He's going to want too much money. Like, they wouldn't even sign Keenan Allen for the exact same reasons. He got nearly $9-10 million a year with the Chargers. Good for them. Good for him. I don't think Amari Cooper makes sense in San Francisco in really any sense of the word. Then there's Gabe Davis, a guy that has speed, who I think could fill Jordan Watkins' role if his role was simply going to be the deep threat. I think that could work. However, despite Davis being there, liking his visit, and probably fitting the offense, the hands are a little inconsistent. The blocking, albeit, is there. Again, it's inconsistent. And I don't think, like Amari Cooper, he'd want to get pushed down the depth chart. He wants to play. He didn't play last year. He got hurt. Jacksonville cut him. He's trying to find a place to play to prove himself to get money. Coming to San Francisco is not going to do that for him in 2025. That, to me, leaves 2 other wide receivers I think do fit what San Francisco needs. Meaning depth, 1, that's the most important one. Then 2, maybe a guy that could surprise, that has played a lot of reps in recent years in a very similar offense to Kyle Shanahan's. The first one that I would think leans heavily into the depth category, that is Jordan Matthews. He's been in San Francisco a handful of times. When you talk about just needing a body to fill a roster spot that knows the offense, that knows where to be in the scheme, Jordan Matthews makes some sense. Bigger body guy, can fill the slot role for you, can play on the boundary. A guy that would simply be a camp body and that's it. That to me is Jordan Matthews. He'd want to get paid for 2 weeks. It wouldn't be that big of a deal for him. And he's also played tight end. So there is some versatility there for Jordan Matthews. The other one, I think one that may make a little more sense if the injuries become, I don't want to say more serious, but become more evident of them needing an actual playable wide receiver out there to give you some oomph week 1, 2, or 3. That one I think is Jamison Crowder, a guy that has some speed, that has played in the offense plenty of times in Washington and with the Jets a couple years ago with Buffalo. He's a rather proven player, not going to want too much money. Again, this was based on simply if the injuries to Cowing get more severe, if he misses more time, if Pearsall goes down, or if there's a problem with him, which there's proven to be over and over again. Jamison Crowder could be a player to watch as things kind of continue during training camp. If guys go down more, or San Francisco loses Robinson, doesn't have Aiyuk, and Watkins is out, and Jennings' injury lingers throughout the first week or two of the NFL season, Jamison Crowder could be a body they target. I think he would fit the offense fairly well. Obviously, you want guys to be healthy and stuff, but I think Jamison Crowder may be a player San Francisco, one, wouldn't mind paying $2-3 million for a 6-week tryout, if you will, or be a depth spot on the roster as, say, Watkins goes on IR or Cowing goes down again, or, again, Jennings' injury is becoming more severe as time goes on. So just watch out for Jamison Crowder. Budget guy, wouldn't cost him much, considering Amari Cooper and Gabe Davis probably want $8+ or $6+ million. Jamison Crowder isn't going to want that, and was successful a couple years ago. So just watch out. We have a question from Papa J in the YouTube chat. He asks, Sterling, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but what are your thoughts on our players getting hurt due to not enough stretching? I don't really think stretching is the problem, right? There was a post on social media about, the Broncos stretch and we're doing dynamic stretching. And that was kind of debunked. People saying, like, you should do dynamic stretching before practice and then stretching, like normal stretching, after practice. I think it's important to stretch. I don't think you need to stretch. I know we do it as kids a lot during our little leagues and our Pop Warners and our high school stuff, and warming up is very important. And all these guys warm up. Like, let's not forget that. It's just about what the warming up kind of routine is for the roster. I don't think stretching is the issue by any means. I think you have guys that have, like, take Isaac Guerendo, for example. If you've seen him play in person, that dude has the girthiest hamstrings I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that dude is freaking thick with 3 C's. There's no reason or there's every reason as to why that hamstring's always getting pulled. Like, the dude is pure just muscle down there. And sometimes when you work out every single day and you strain your muscles working out, which isn't due to stretching, you're going to tear something. You're going to pull something. It happens all the time. I don't think, even if they stretch for 30 minutes before practice, leading into practice, you can still pull something. I think it's simply just kind of freak stuff you're seeing all around the league currently. Guys are pulling hamstrings. I think Xavier McKinney pulled his calf. Like, you're seeing a lot of guys get hurt, which isn't just San Francisco. So I think, if anything, this offseason, this training camp stuff has kind of debunked the, I guess you could say, aggressive need to stretch more, but I don't think that is like the sole reason as to why guys are going down with injuries at a consistent rate. I do think that guys work out more than they used to. Guys don't have some fat on them as they used to. And when you have guys that you can see their tendons through their skin because they're so ripped and stuff, they're going to pull more often than not. How many times do you see these physical specimen, like, if you don't have any fat blocking your muscles, you don't have any, some chunkage on you, some tonnage on you, you're not going to be able to absorb the hits. Like, Jacob Cowing couldn't absorb what Deebo Samuel could because Deebo was a bigger guy. He's a chunkier dude at times, which kind of betrayed him at times too. But you have these skinny guys that are jacked, or you have these big guys that are hulked out and are just defined as hell. Those guys get hurt more often than not. But I don't think that stretching is the biggest factor in guys getting hurt this season for San Francisco. Big Brick 84 says, if Robbie Chosen makes it on the roster due to injury, that changes his name to Robbie Default. He definitely would not be chosen by any means, Big Brick 84. It would be I guess you're making the roster, brother. Get out there. But speaking of Robbie Chosen Anderson, let's get to the takeaways from today's practice. And with that in mind, I want to remind all of you out there, If you want to see your San Francisco 49ers play this season, whether it be preseason week 1 or 2 or 3 now, that we've already passed week 1 of the preseason, or the 18-week regular season ahead of you, go to SeatGeek.com, find your tickets, and on your first purchase, use promo code right here, 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACC ESS at SeatGeek.com, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Beer, parking, gas, it's all expensive. Any way you can find a discount is the best way. Use that promo code and save yourself $20 off your purchase.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
But let's get into my day 13 actual practice takeaways. Forget the injuries for a second. Forget the roster moves for a second. What transpired on the practice field today? And let's talk about Robbie Chosen Anderson, a guy who, like Big Brick 84 says, may make the roster by default in 2025. He had a phenomenal diving catch today from Mac Jones in the end zone. Mac put the ball where only he can go get it. Robbie has some speed left in his body, albeit he's over the hump at this point in time in his career, but he gave him a chance to go out there and make a play, and Robbie went out there and made the play. It was Jalen Mahoney in coverage. Mac just lofted it up, gave him a chance. Anderson runs under it, makes a diving catch, call it a touchdown. It was a great play, and certainly worth highlighting on day 13. Moving to the backfield for a second, 2 guys that stood out. One, UDFA Corey Kiner had a big 15-yard run today and was a shout-out from Kyle Shanahan during his post-practice press conference, I think, or at least was a shout-out after the game on Saturday against Denver. So some good sightings for the UDFA Corey Kiner. Then that brings us to Christian McCaffrey, who didn't play in the preseason. And I think when fans see him for the first time again, they will have a big smile on their face because he looks like, I won't say 2023 Christian McCaffrey. That's a pretty legendary player. But let's say 2022 Christian McCaffrey. He had multiple big plays today, a couple on the ground and a big one through the air. Screen pass, so a lot of you out there wanting CMC to be involved in the passing game with so many guys injured and Deebo Samuel now on Washington. McCaffrey becomes a bigger part of the passing offense if he already wasn't. Today, caught a screen pass, Ben Barch frees him up, gives him space, and off to the races he went for a pretty big gain in open space. So multiple big plays from CMC today and a couple big plays from the offense against the defense. It was a quieter practice. It was not as long. It was only 80 minutes. But there was some funny moments where I look back and I'm like, what are we doing? Because we all watched the game on Saturday, right? Carter Bradley's terrible. If you watched my takeaways from the game itself, like Carter Bradley was atrocious. You want to talk about nepotism at its finest? I don't know how he even made the roster. I get it. He was, I guess, the quarterback during a wide receiver workout, and I guess impressed Kyle Shanahan and somebody else enough. Not sure exactly what they were watching because Carter Bradley, and I don't say this often, but when I do say it, I mean it. Carter Bradley sucks. Like, some guys have bad days. Some guys have one bad practice. Some guys have one bad rep. Carter Bradley nearly never has a good rep. He was terrible leading into the training camp or leading into preseason week 1 against the Broncos, and he was downright terrible today. So bad, in fact, Carter Bradley got benched during a training camp practice. after they waived and cut Tanner Mordecai, the guy we all assumed would be this team's quarterback 3 practice squad elevation player this season. How do you get benched during a practice? Like, sometimes Kyle gets mad, sometimes Kyle yells, but the fact that you get benched during a practice, an area where you are allowed to make pivotal mistakes and mess up and hopefully get better, like, that to me, like, why is he on the roster? Why was he not cut over Tanner Mordecai? Why is Bradley even on the roster when you have so many receivers injured? Like, I'd rather have Jordan Matthews and Jamison Crowder over Carter Bradley. At least they have a chance. Like, Carter Bradley, again, I don't say it often, he sucks. And what led to him getting benched today? The second play of practice. So the first play, the ball snapped. He just whiffs Keyshawn Vaughn on a pitch out. Just totally missed him. Incomplete. It was like, okay, that was not great. I don't know what happened there, but okay. Get back in the huddle, make a new play. They're lined up. They're ready. Blue 42, set. The ball is snapped. He fumbles the football. Everyone's scrambling around. Where is it? The Niners essentially told him after that, we're good. You seen that Colin Cowherd video of like, hey, LeBron, we're good. We don't need you anymore. We're good. San Francisco essentially said, hey, Carter Bradley, we're good. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you at all. We're good. You can go. Man, I am not that big of a anti-nepotism person. I get it happens in life, although sometimes it sucks and people can be victims of that, but like, what are we doing? Like, at least Tanner Mordecai, for as bad as he was in the preseason, can operate the offense in practice. Carter Bradley can't even operate the offense in practice. Like, you got benched during practice. We're talking about practice. So, if he is not cut by Thursday's joint practice and Tanner's not brought back or somebody else is not signed, it's just like, I'm not one to complain about quarterback 3 because who cares, but you just never know, and we know that pretty well here in San Francisco. But with the, like, we have comments here in the YouTube chat saying Curtis Rourke is going to be the quarterback 3. He's probably going to be an IR stash. So whether it's Carter Bradley or somebody else or Mordecai, one of those people are going to be quarterback 3 this year. And look, no one's saying the quarterback 3 has to be good. Most quarterback 2s aren't good, right? So you have a quarterback 3 who isn't good at all, which is fine. That's the expectation. But, like, is Nate Sudfeld doing something? Where's Josh Johnson? At least he wouldn't fumble the snap and pitch the ball incorrectly to the running back. Like, go bring back Josh Johnson for a 16th runaround. Go sign Dante Johnson. I'm sure he'd love to play quarterback instead of cornerback because somebody's got to do some reps out there. It's just not pretty. Make Kyle Juszczyk play quarterback because Carter Bradley sucks so bad. And when you get benched during a practice, not because you're hurt, but because you aren't good, like on a 90-man roster, I mean, God. We have some comments here in the YouTube chat too, as I scroll back up for a second. Niner, that's the name, just Niner says, Mac Jones is quarterback 1 with the smoking nostril emoji. I'm going to assume you're trolling. In that I say, welcome to the show. Because Mac Jones will not be playing quarterback 1 unless Brock Purdy gets injured. But I do think, to your point though, Niner, Mac Jones is a very perfect quarterback for the Niner system. Brock is like what you'd want. Obviously, you want Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, but like with who they have and the schematic fit and the plays they can do, like Brock to me is like up there in the grouping of like guys that can really run the system to like the elite degree that it can be run at, minus again the top 4 guys in the NFL like Burrow and Lamar and Josh and Mahomes. But I do think Mac Jones, his skill set and what Kyle looks for, yep, it fits what they want to do to a T. He is really Kirk Cousins light. and Kirk's been a good quarterback in his own right, but he's very similar to Kirk Cousins. Probably a little bit more mobile, although Kirk, I think, underrated in that aspect. But he's old now, and Kirk has a better arm. But again, he's light for a reason. Let's say Kirk's iOS 18, Mac Jones is iOS 10, right? Similar, a big gap in production, but pretty similar. But I do like Mac Jones as a quarterback too, Niner. So glad to have you in here, and I hope you'll stick around. People saying he's not trolling. He's not trolling. Let's keep it going here, though, in the notes I have, because let's talk about Mac Jones, actually. Mac Jones, with Carter Bradley being benched, Mac Jones got second and third team reps to make up for his, I guess you can say, debacle of the quarterback 3 position. So Mac Jones goes from taking quarterback 2 reps to taking quarterback 2 and 3 reps in today's practice. He had a touchdown, already mentioned, to Robbie Anderson on today. And then he also had a wide open Ricky Pearsall for a touchdown in the end zone. So 2 touchdowns for Mac Jones, had another good day. And for a guy that I know the offense didn't play well against the Broncos, scoring just 1 touchdown. I think Mac has looked good in the offense through almost out the entirety of training camp and even the preseason for 1 drive. There's some context as to why his drives weren't great, but I thought Mac was or has been fairly impressive through his first 13 practices or so with the San Francisco 49ers. But let's take things to the defense, because we have a handful of takeaways, and the first one being Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, who didn't play on Saturday against the Broncos, as most starters didn't, had another just ring-ding, home run, bing-bong practice, if that can make some sense for you out there. He just continues to be a game changer in practice, which, again, what does that mean? I don't know, but today they had Trent out there, Christian McCaffrey out there, the entire starting 5 offensive line, out there, and Bosa was still doing his stuff, getting sacks, getting pressures, getting to the quarterback on a continual basis. It just, that does concern me with the offensive line. It's not been great, but Nick Bosa continues to be the Defensive Player of the Year candidate he was a couple years ago, the winner a couple years ago. He's flashing every single practice is out there. He also kind of gave us a little throwback to the rookie season of his against the Panthers, where the ball gets tipped up and he gets the interception. That same thing happened today, where the newly signed Trevis Gipson tipped the ball in the air from Brock Purdy. Nick Bosa finds it in the red zone, gets the interception. So Bosa all over the box score today for those that care about that stuff. And a good showing from Trevis Gipson, who was signed last night or this morning, was brought in. He's had a fairly decent career. I think he had a 7-sack season with Seattle. I think that's right. So there is some upside there with him. Obviously a depth body with so many guys injured, but immediately getting first-team reps today in his first practice, and already making plays on his first day. Tip ball leads to a pick, and also had a couple would-be sacks against San Francisco's offensive line. So whether it's the fresh legs or not, I have no idea, but I'm sure it helps him as he maybe tries to make a roster spot. Who knows? He usually plays outside linebacker, but he has kind of last couple of years been made into an edge rusher, so that's where he'll be. The reason why I bring it up is because his ESPN name, his ESPN stats and box score say linebacker. That's the worst part about ESPN sometimes, is they don't really know what the position actually is. If you're in a 4-3 scheme, they call you an outside linebacker and then give you the linebacker designation, but in reality, you're an edge rusher that just stands up. But Gipson can put his hand in the dirt and get the quarterback, which he did today a couple of times. Moving along here to linebacker, a guy that came back and didn't play in the preseason game against the Broncos, but returned to practice today, that being linebacker Chazz Surratt. A guy I think, probably is on the outside looking in for a roster spot, but with Nicholas Martin having a wild game against the Broncos. It's not being good overall. But you have Nicholas Martin, probably not going to play much this year outside of special teams unless someone gets hurt. While you like Luke Gifford, you love D. Winters, and Bethune looks miles ahead of where he was last year, making my scouting report last season look a lot better now, 1 year in advance. But you have those three guys kind of being your depth / starting pieces for you. Surratt does have a chance to push for a roster spot. Can he push Jalen Graham or Curtis Robinson for a role? Maybe. Today, though, his highlight rep came against Ricky Pearsall. He wasn't covering Pearsall, obviously, because Pearsall's a receiver and Surratt being a linebacker, but there was a screen pass to Pearsall, and Surratt takes on 3 blockers, which should give him a disadvantage on the play, but he sets a hard edge, which you need to have, and he forces Pearsall back inside and gives the defense a chance to make a tackle. So it's small stuff like that matters, that can separate you from the next guy, whether behind you or in front of you. So to have Surratt make a play like that, being back healthy, hopefully he plays in the joint practices and the game this weekend against the Raiders. But for a guy vying for a roster spot, a good sign for him. And the last 3 notes I have here on the training camp 13-day takeaways is that Chase Lucas, who had a tremendous outing against the Broncos, who I think stole the show for many people, including myself, Chase Lucas continues to just push and push and push and push.
Now at Chipotle, our all-new Chipotle Honey Chicken brings Chipotle heat with a touch of sweet. Seared smoked peppers and savory Mexican spices, blended with a hint of pure honey for a perfectly balanced sauce. All combined with fresh, tender chicken hot off the grill, served up in your favorite burrito or bowl. New Chipotle Honey Chicken takes heat and sweet to a whole new level. But it's only at Chipotle for a limited time. Order now in the app for pickup or delivery. Chipotle, for real.
He kind of, not to say came out of nowhere, but he was an assumed practice squad guy, maybe a role player, if anything, going to be a special teamer. Obviously, when you have competent defensive play calling in your building, unlike last year, they can find guys and utilize that one specialty. And Robert Saleh, at least through 14-ish days of practice, including a preseason game, has found something in Chase Lucas. Now, what is that going to be once the actual games come and go? I have no idea, but he was a guy that was kind of working with the third team and the late second team reps as they worked in Trey Brown and Upton Stout at nickelback. However, with Stout being sidelined, you'd assume Trey Brown would get that job again. Wasn't the case. Chase Lucas was getting first team reps at nickel and did not disappoint. He had another PBU today during team drills. And Chase Lucas continues to be one of the bigger surprises on the roster through the first 13 or 14 days or so of the preseason / training camp sessions. A good day for him, building off of a really good preseason debut for him in the red and gold. So I hope that can continue. You obviously love guys that can fit in a defense better than last year and grow. So good for Saleh for believing in him. Good for Lucas for asking Saleh to let him blitz during the preseason game. Obviously, it worked a handful of times. And hopefully they can continue to kind of, show some trust in each other as the days continue out there on the practice field. The other 2 notes I have, the second to last one being Jason Pinnock, who didn't really have a notable game against the Broncos outside of a really good preseason or good training camps before the game. He bounced back today in camp, had a nice PBU against Pearsall over the middle of the football field. So Pinnock kind of bouncing back after a rather invisible, I guess you can say, preseason game against Denver. Then the last one, the biggest one, where Chase Lucas may have stole the show. Marques Sigle not just stole the show, he made it all about himself, because Marques Sigle was a flat-out just game wrecker against Denver on Saturday. And I love that this new defensive regime, if you want to call it that, is rewarding good, consistent play. Because Chase Lucas is one of the first examples of that, of a guy that, isn't really secured to have a job, and you have so much roster turnover, you're trying to find any positive sign from players, guys that you think you can work with, whether it's depth or starting roles for them. And Chase Lucas has kind of earned that spot right now, which may change as time goes on. But Marques Sigle, a guy that was drafted, this past year from Kansas State, a guy that was smaller, the guy that, that Kansas State defense was undersized, but they were feisty as hell. And Marques Sigle hasn't really had the best training camp, albeit hasn't been bad by any means, but when the game time came, he lit it up, right? Well, they rewarded that, and they are giving him, at least today they were, first team reps on defense after his preseason game, and Kyle Shanahan also said he's in the mix for the starting free safety job. One, I love that, where, I'm sure Saleh and Shanahan walked into the year of we have an idea as to where we want to see things. You'd love to have, Jair Brown and Mustafa out there. You bring in Pinnock. You want him to mix elsewhere. But to have Marques Sigle, a rookie, play that well, and then to openly hear your head coach say, yeah, he's in the mix to be a starter, that is just, one, great to hear from the coaching staff. Probably a big solid thing here of hey, look, I'm going to play the best possible guy. I'm not going to rely on name value because you can't afford to. This team can't just play Jair Brown because he's a third-round pick. And I love having Saleh back because Sorensen would just do that. He wouldn't care. He's not going to bench Jair Brown. And if he does, it's not coming from Nick. It's coming from somebody else in that room, probably Kyle Shanahan. And so to have Saleh back in the room, who didn't draft Jair Brown, which no knock on him, he's been fine. He's not been great, ain't been bad. But to have Sigle play well and Saleh say, we're going to reward that kind of play. We're going to give you more run with the first team. Let you sink or swim. Can you earn your stripes, if you will? That is what this meant. That's the mentality you want from your defensive coordinator, especially now where you have so much roster turnover. You have so many guys that may have name value or draft status over somebody else. Trey Brown was signed as one of their, big free agent signing guys. There's no promise he makes the team because Chase Lucas has played so well and Dallas Flowers has played adequately. Sigle could push people like Richie Grant or probably already pushed George Odom off the roster, who was cut earlier in the season. There's no promise Jair Brown makes the roster too. So, and I also think that, with so many guys injured, Mustafa being hurt and Grant being hurt, the fact they haven't brought anybody else in, that to me is a big positive for Marques Sigle. Look, we like Pinnock, but we're starting to trust you too. So, really great stuff from Marques Sigle. And I have, for all the talk of Jordan Watkins having a great camp, now he's hurt. For the talk of, CJ West and Micah Williams and Alfred Collins and all these rookies not named Sigle, he's starting to pick things up and catch everyone's eye, which deservedly so. Had a phenomenal debut and is earning first-team reps, which you love to see. No one spot should be safe outside of Lenore, Green, Bosa, and Warner. Winter has earned his role. Everyone else has to do the same. Mustafa comes back. He'll be a starter, but Sigle gives this team something they have not had since Jimmy Ward. That said, he's not going to be like this incredibly fast safety. There are some coverage lapses sometimes, but he comes down, he plays hard, he can play nickel, he can play free safety. He gives you more speed and versatility than Jair Brown does. So, a very good thing, a good sign for San Francisco's defense. They're young, but they're hungry, and they want to earn their reps and their stripes. So, reward guys that are trying to do that for you. And Saleh is doing the right thing and giving guys like Sigle an opportunity where, We talked about how many guys could start in 2025, 8 new starters. Well, if you pencil in, Micah Williams, Marques Sigle, you talk about maybe Luke Gifford as kind of the third linebacker, if that's what you want to do. Upton Stout, like the numbers start piling up. Albeit I don't think it's going to be 8, but 6 new guys. If 4 or 3 of those guys are rookies, Collins and West, like that to me is what you want. Young guys earning roles, pushing veterans off the roster and out of their way on the depth chart. So high praise from Kyle Shanahan to Marques Sigle, which is great to see. They are back at practice tomorrow with a walkthrough on Wednesday, and then joint practices on Thursday against the Las Vegas Raiders. Then a game this weekend against Las Vegas as well. So hopefully nobody else gets hurt. Fingers crossed. We'll see what San Francisco does with the wide receiver room. Tell me down below, who do you think they should sign, if anybody? Are you all Team Amari Cooper? Are you all Team Gabe Davis? Or are you like me saying, some depth bodies like Jordan Matthews or Jamison Crowder might be a better fit for San Francisco? Are you concerned about the injuries going forward? And tell me down below, which rookie are you most excited to watch in preseason week 2 if they are healthy? Sigle, CJ West, Alfred Collins, maybe Micah Williams comes back. No more Jordan Watkins. Maybe you're a big Corey Kiner guy, the UDFA free agent rookie out of Cincinnati. Tell me down below which rookie you want to see in preseason week number 2. And Niners throwback saying Jordan Matthews ain't going to do much of a difference. He's not supposed to. Just like if Jordan Matthews gets hurt, nobody cares. Just play a game and be healthy for a week and a half so other guys can get back on the field that mean more to the team than he does. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show. At 49ers Access is the Instagram, and 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. You can use that promo code right here, 49ers Access, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. I want to thank Niners Throwback, who says like and subscribe. Turn that bell notification on. I want to thank Niners Throwback, Papa J, Big Brick 84, Rob D, and so many more of you, just like Strawberry Reacts in the YouTube comments. I know I saw Kenny in here somewhere. Bobo's been missing. If you've seen Bobo, find them. Bring them back to the show. Tommy Huxley's also in here. I saw a Niner in here earlier. Kyle Chipto in here somewhere as well. And Robbie 439. Joseph Ehrenberg, and many more. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all can like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments down below. Have a great rest of your night and come right back here tomorrow for day 14 of San Francisco 49ers training camp takeaways. As always, though, my name is Sterling Bennett, and until next time, stay faithful.